Anthony, I listened to the Greg LeMond interview part 2 and it was super.
Tell me.
Throw sugar at me. It got me thinking about the prevalence of doping in amateur cycling. What's your thoughts on this? Do you think Cat 1, 2 and 3 and vets are perhaps doping to get an edge? That's a really interesting question. It's like, before you jump into what you think, recently in the last week or two, there was a bit of a kerfuffle in a race in Valencia, where there was 130 riders there was 180 riders at the start line. And as the race progressed, they all got wind that the doping, people were there going to be at the finish line testing, and 130 of the riders dropped out. Now, I did a little bit more digging into that as well. Apparently this race is very, very very difficult, and normally only about half of the group would actually end up finishing anyway. So I'm not saying 130 of these riders dropped out because they were doping. Apparently that's kind of normal, that there's a lot of DNFs for this particular race, but that sounds very high.
Yeah, but also they're different things. So to answer the first question, do you think Cat 1s, 2s, 3s and vets, is there people doping? Yeah, undoubtedly there is people doping, because you mentioned status. People are motivated by different stuff. People are motivated by financial. That's why people dope in the World Tour, and they dope locally to be the local hero. Is there a significant number of Cat 1s, 2s, 3s doping? I don't think so. I've seen definitely red flags in my time racing where you see this huge increase in performance level from somebody over like a 3-week period, and that's just not in line at all with what you'd expect from them. But it's been rare, and because there's a lot more goes into winning at that level than just straight out physiological. I think you're going to see more doping. I spoke with Zach on the podcast a couple of days ago. I think it's out on Wednesday, and he was top 10 in the esports. I think you're going to maybe see more doping in that area than you're going to see in road racing, because road racing is so multifaceted. Doping's not going to help you go around a corner. Doping's not going to help you to, utilize energy better in the bunch.
If there was a magic doping pill I could take to
you need that corner one.
To take corners better, I'm sorry, hands up.
A few lads in the group, right, who used to descend them doping as well. But so yeah, I think there's a number definitely greater than 0 that are doping in amateur races. It's a bit tragic, I have to say, if you're one of those that's tempted to cross that edge. It's a bit tragic. Now the Valencia thing is different, because it's like, if I am an amateur Cat 1 or Cat 2 rider, not taking it that serious, basically me at the moment, where I'm doing a bit of training, kind of mailing it in, we're going to races, and then all of a sudden you see dope control at the finish line. Like, you're not going to finish that race. You could potentially get called on a random dope control. Like, what's your upside rolling across that line and going into dope control? Have you been at a party where someone was smoking weed recently? Yeah. There's a 4-year ban, and there's your name pulled through the mud, potentially lose your job, putting stress on relationships.
Yeah. Have you been getting your supplements from some dodgy, your protein, cheap protein online, and it's been tainted with XYZ?
Like, you're not looking for pure sport certified if you're Cat 1, Cat 2, Cat 3, and you're not typically tested. It was different when I was getting tested all the time, and you knew the tester was calling to the house. You're scanning everything, making sure it's pure sport certified, making sure it's batch tested. There was a case here in Ireland actually a few years ago where someone got randomly tested at a Cat 2, Cat 3 stage race. I won't name him, even though it's out in the public sphere. And he tested positive for marijuana, and he got a ban because of that. But he comes from a small rural town in Ireland, and his name was dragged through the mud because of that, and reputational damage because he smoked a bit of weed at a party. It's obviously not performance enhancing. So I would say, of those that dropped out, how many dropped out? 130?
Yeah.
You could say maybe half of them just got dropped and didn't finish the race.
Yeah.
So you have 65 odd people. I would be saying 98, 99% of those are recreational.
What about this fella, though, that went off the road and went through the bush to avoid entering the finish line and preventing the anti-doping agents from being able to control him?
Well,
bit of a red flag there, maybe.
Yeah, or is it like... I've got tested at the end of stage races. I've got tested on stage 4 at the end of a stage race. 4th stage, I see the tester. I'm like, I know they're coming to test me. ruins your evening. So you get
Yes.
to drive home about 3 hours later than everyone else. You're hanging around. You're dehydrated after the race, so you can't go for a piss. You've this lad coming into the shower with you in case you sneak a piss out when you're in the shower.
Yeah.
It's a miserable experience. If there was a hedge there, I would have been gone into it as well. I'm all for clean sport, but
Yeah.
you know, it's
I have to say, when you were being tested and the whereabouts, so basically Anthony had to tell everybody all of the time where he was so that the testers could show up at any time. And oh my God, it was the bane of our lives. And they would always just arrive just as you had something nice planned, a nice dinner, going away for the weekend. They'd always just knew to rock in at the wrong time. They'd be here for hours. Oh, absolutely
stick on the kettle.
hated.
So if you like this video, you should definitely check out this video because I know you're going to love it. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel.